Hey guys, it's Mrs. Meekum here today. I'm recording a video for you on how to glaze a mask. So this is the mask that I made and demonstrated to you in class, and it has now been what we call bisque fired, and it's ready for glazing. So I'm going to show you the process that we'll use and remind you of the different steps that we take when we are glazing. Okay, so I'm set up and ready to go with my glaze. I want to show you something we're going to do this year that I'm excited about for passing out and managing glaze. You'll get to choose 3 different colors of glaze to use, and we're going to put them in our paint trays that we used last year. And we're going to try to arrange them strategically so that you might be sharing with somebody that is using similar colors to you. And that's how we'll do it. And what's nice about this is it'll be able to dish it up a lot faster and just have it more organized, and will waste less glaze. So again, I have my 3 colors in here. I'm choosing to use orange, red, and black. Okay, so let's review the properties of glaze, because these are the colors that I've chosen, orange, red, and black, to glaze my dragon mask. And here we go. This is the orange color, okay? What it looks like is liquid glaze. Here's red. And this is what the black looks like when it's liquid. And let's remember that glaze is different than paint. And hopefully you can remember the fact that it's a chemical emulsion. And glaze does not become shiny and hard until it has been put in the kiln. And once we apply it to our masks, it's going to look very powdery. And then once we put it in the kiln, heat it up to the right temperature, then that will turn it the color that we need, and it'll be finished, right? So here on this sample here, you can remember that we need to do 3 even coats of glaze, not super thick coats, not super thin coats, but here is this red tile, and it's been glazed with 1 coat here, 2 coats here, and 3 coats at the bottom. And you can see how that helps it to become even, and the 3 coats help it to become dark like you want it to. You also have to remember that glaze is thick. So hopefully if you have details carved into your mask, you've carved them deep enough that once you glaze them with 3 coats of glaze, you'll still be able to see them. So I've chosen these 3 colors, and now I'm going to just apply the glaze in different places. So I'm kind of thinking about how I want my mask to look, and I think I'm going to start by doing orange right around here, okay, because I'll have my flames probably red and orange, and then I'm going to use some black in places too, and I'm just kind of thinking it through as I go. It'd be a good idea for you to plan where you want to use the colors in your mask if you have time this week, because you're going to be selecting your 3 colors of glaze, and you also are going to be planning how you're going to use them, so that we begin with the end in mind and have a plan, okay? So I'm going to start by dipping my brush into my glaze, and remember, if your brush is too wet, the sponge in the middle is for you to dab extra water on, because you don't want to get too much water in with your glaze. Now remember, glaze is going to soak into my mask pretty quickly. My mask has been fired 1 time, but it's very absorbent. And so it still absorbs a lot of the water from the glaze, and then it helps it evaporate, and that's what kind of holds the glaze color in place. Okay, so I'm going to use orange here, and while I'm letting this color dry, I'm going to come in and make sure I'm getting all the edges that I want, so I have those nice details taken care of. And I'm going to also glaze over here on this side, orange. Now, when it's time to glaze next week, when I'm back, we will let you take your time. You do not have to be finished glazing your mask in 1 class session. I want you to take time and care and do a really good job on your glazing, because this is an opportunity for you to really have a little more creativity with your mask and keep working on it, okay? Now sometimes we mess up a little bit and get glaze where we don't want it to be, and that's one of the nice things about glaze is you can actually sometimes come in, like I got it a little far in here, and scrape it out. And if your fingernail doesn't work, then you can come to me and I will have a needle tool or another tool that you could use to get that color out of there. So right here, my glaze, you can tell that right here it's still a little wet because it's a little darker, and over here it's a little drier. And so this is ready where I could do another coat. When I do second coats, I try to brush my glaze on a different direction than I did the first time. The other thing I recommend is that you glaze every place you're going to use orange first, or the glaze that you're going to use over the most of your mask, use that first, and then do all of them one coat, and then go back and do all of them a second coat. And that way you can keep track of which ones had a second coat and which ones only had a first coat. So quickly, for the sake of time in the video, I'm going to go ahead and show you the second coat process. So I'm going to go ahead and glaze this way and run my brush the opposite direction that I did the first time I glazed. Now if you notice, the second coat doesn't absorb as fast. It goes a little farther, and I can actually spread it out a little more than I did the first time. And most of you will probably be using this little green brush. But if you have little tiny details and you need a smaller paintbrush, we do have lots of paintbrush sizes, and depending on your individual needs, we can always get you another brush. Okay, so I'm trying to make sure that I am getting every spot here a second coat of glaze. If your brush gets really thick with dried glaze, then that's the time you could rinse it and blot it out. My brush is doing pretty good because I think I'm dipping it in the glaze quickly and then moving it to my mask to quickly glaze it. Okay, so I would go ahead and keep glazing my orange. So I've done 2 coats there, and remember, we need 3 coats. Okay, and if your glaze goes on extra thick and clumpy and you just can't even seem to get any on your mask before it's dried into your brush, let me know, because that means the glaze needs to be have a little water added to it, and that is my job or the teacher's aide's job to help you do that so we don't get too much water. But that way, if it's getting really thick and clumpy and you just can't seem to smooth it out no matter how careful you try to be, then let me know, because the glaze probably needs to be adjusted a little bit. Okay, so I have that there, and I'm just going to keep adding my orange glaze to different areas of my mask.